This is a tutorial on how to tune your violin. There are two ways to tune your violin. You can use the fine tuners, or you can use the pegs. The fine tuners are used for fine adjustments. So this is if your string is mostly already in tune. The pegs are used for bigger adjustments. This is if your string is really out of tune. They're also used if your violin doesn't have fine tuners, although you probably won't have to worry about that. First, let's figure out how to use pegs. We want to be careful with pegs, but I have some tips to help. So before we do anything else, make sure you know which string is out of tune and which peg corresponds to that string. Have your violin strings facing towards you so you can see the violin's strings and the violin's pegs. To find which peg to tune your out of tune string, you can look at the string and then follow that string upwards and then find the corresponding peg. So for the A string is this string, and then if you follow it upwards, you'll see that it goes to this peg. Now, take your hand opposite to the side of the peg you're tuning. So in this case, I'm tuning an A string, and the A string peg is on this side, so I'm going to be using this hand. Now take that hand and put it on top of the scroll, and almost pretend like you're pushing against the scroll on the opposite side of the peg you're tuning. Now take your other hand, put it on your peg, and while you're turning it up or down, either to make the pitch of the string higher or lower, push the peg in like this. So you'll see that as I'm turning my peg this way, I'm pushing against both sides like that. So I'm pushing on this hand and I'm pushing on this hand inwards. After you push the peg in, test out the note by plucking it. Repeat this process until the string is in tune. So my A string, still a little out of tune, still a little flat. So I'm gonna have to push in my peg like that, just a little, and I'm gonna test it out again. Sounds close. That should be okay. The fine tuners are used in play position. Have your violin in play position and get ready to play your note. You can play your string with pizzicato or with your bow. Play the string to see if it's too high or too low. This is a D, so the string will be low, so I need to bring the pitch up. To bring the pitch up, hold your violin like this, play the note, and that note sounds flat. So to bring the pitch up, I'm going to turn my fine tuner to the right. So I'm going to be taking this fine tuner, turning it that way. From my perspective, I'm turning it to the right. And I'll do this just like that. Turning the fine tuner just a little. And then after I tune the fine tuner, I'm going to check my note again. So the note is still a little flat, so I'm going to keep going. In order to tune your violin the other way, then that means you bring the pitch down. And with the fine tuners, that means you turn your fine tuner to your left. Like that. So say I have a high note. I'll turn my fine tuner to the left. And that will consist of me turning this fine tuner this way, that way. So then when I'm playing, we'll be turning it like that way. To review, tune your pegs by placing your violin on your lap and pushing one hand on the scroll against the other hand pushing the peg in like that. Tune your fine tuners in play position by turning your fine tuner to the right if your note is too low and to the left if your note is too high. That's the end of the tutorial.